Hi everybody and welcome back to another episode of Cooking Ain't Complicated. I'm Chef Saint. I want to thank you for joining me. And today, like around the world, we're celebrating Pride. It's Pride Month and we are showing our support to our friends in the gay and lesbian community by taking back something delicious. There is a certain food chain that we won't mention by name because they don't deserve it. But let's just suffice it to say I used to eat there all the time. I loved it. They're known far and wide for their chicken sandwiches. Unfortunately, they're also known far and wide for their bigotry and hatred against the gay community. And so I stopped eating there personally about, I'd say 5 years ago when this all came out. And it was a blow to me, honestly, because I ate there quite a lot. But let me tell you this, and I'll tell you this right now. I love my gay friends and family far more than a piece of chicken. And you can take that to the bank. But I found a recipe, you guys. I found a way to get over the hill. We are going to make some Pride Nuggz. I'm calling them Pride Nuggz. We're going to have chicken nuggets made in the same style as this unnamed bigoted restaurant. We're gonna take the flavor back because these have all of the flavor that you know and love and absolutely none of the hatred. I want to thank you guys for sticking around with me. I want to say happy Pride to all my friends and family who celebrate. Stick around, we're gonna make some love right here. Alright guys, so there's many characteristics that make this type of chicken so popular, so accessible. A lot of it being the thin, crispy coating, which is made with flour, but they also incorporate a bit of powdered sugar into it to give it a light sweetness and texture. And then also pickles is a very familiar and popular item to use with a chicken sandwich. It's been around for a long time. Pickles is definitely one of the main ingredients in a fine pickle or a chicken sandwich. But here's the thing. We're going to take that a step further because what I want to do is we're going to take our chicken and we're going to brine it in the pickle juice. And what that will do is help start breaking down that chicken, making it a lot softer, more tender, and it'll also add that still salty flavor, infuse it into the meat. So when we give it that coating later on, it's going to taste that much better. So here's what we're going to do. We got our pickles. Didn't need help getting the lid off this time. Smell great. And we're just going to drain off some of that pickle juice. I'm looking for about a cup and a half. And I think that's right about where we are now. Got about a cup and a half of this here pickle juice. And we're just gonna pour that right in there. You want enough to cover the chicken so all of it gets soaked in and we don't want to flip the chicken as much. So now that we've got that done, my arch enemy, the cling wrap, that doesn't like to play along nice. Joke's on him, I've got sharp knives. I'm gonna take that. And we're going to let that soak into the chicken for about half hour, 45 minutes. And then we'll start preparing our breading station and we'll move on to the next step. All right, we've pulled the chicken out of the refrigerator in the brine and we've got some patties that we're going to make for a slider. And we've also cut up some tiny little nuggets that we're going to make into our chicken nuggets. That's our end game here. So what we're going to add is, we got, it's a little more than half a cup, about 2/3 cup of milk. Put that in the right bowl. Wouldn't be against putting it in the wrong bowl like I always do. We got 2 eggs. Crack them carefully. You don't want any, eggshell. Used to be able to do this with one hand, but my hands aren't quite what they used to be. So throw that into the milk. And we're gonna whisk that together. Now my daughter wanted me to use her new little rainbow whisk. She thought it'd be fun. So this one's for you, Maria. I hope you enjoy. So whisk that together. And that's gonna be the wet ingredients for our 2-part coating. And then for the dry ingredients, we're going to add, it was about a cup of just all-purpose flour. About a tablespoon of salt, teaspoon of salt. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to tell you how much they are. I'll post it in the description. Right now, I just kind of fudged with the, until I got it to about where I wanted to. But there's some salt, some cracked ground pepper, and some garlic powder, some paprika. I use Hungarian smoked paprika. It's fantastic. Get it all. You don't want to waste any of that. We got celery salt. And then the key ingredient, this one I will tell you, 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar. Just regular confectioner sugar. This gives it a lightness and a sweetness that you're not going to get other than that. And we're just going to mix that all together. Just like that. Doesn't need anything fancy. Now we're going to set up a 2-stage breading process. You don't want to get one hand wet and then get that wet hand all goopy with the flour. It creates a lot of chunks in your flour and it makes the breading not stretch as far. So we're going to start with our patties. I'm going to throw a couple of those in the milk bath there. We'll go left hand, right hand for this. Just get them nice and moist. Shake off the excess. Again, same reason. Don't want to chunk up the batter or the coating too much. So, the chicken came before the egg. There you go. Now you know. And so we're going to kind of toss that in. And while we're doing that, toss those other 2 in there. I know it's a hackneyed joke, but Jesus, I had to. Most of my, if it wasn't for hackneyed jokes, I wouldn't have any jokes. So we toss those other 2 in there. I didn't shake that one off. That was on me. Now look at that. I got a little bit of a puddle in there. Shame, shame, shame. Can't even follow my own rotten advice. And then we're going to toss some of these nuggets in there as well. And these were a super breeze to cut. The pickle juice made them nice and tender. So. Try to remember to shake it off this time. Make sure you get all the nooks and crannies. You want it nice and coated. You also want to make sure you don't lose any in there. They're small nuggets, but they're precious. Every single one. And there you have it. Our breaded nuggets, our breaded chicken patties. Next step, peanut oil. So now we're going to fry these off. I've made a couple of patties and a couple of nugs themselves, but we're just going to toss that in the oil. You don't want to do too much at once because it'll overcrowd the oil. I've got the oil at about 400 degrees and I'm just using standard peanut oil. Peanut oil is what most fast food chicken restaurants use for their oil. It packs a good flavor. It's just the go-to, and so that's what I always use for my chicken. So we'll fry up a couple of these beauties here. You don't want to disturb them too much while they're frying. It'll knock the breading off. So before those get too dark, we're gonna pull those out and we'll temp them just to make sure they're at the right temperature, but you don't want to leave them in there too long and have them burn up. So that was in there for about 4 minutes. So go ahead and stick the other two in. I thought my thermometer had gone walkabout. So those didn't temp out to be where I want. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop everything in the oven for a couple of minutes, a 350 degree oven, just to let it finish cooking till it reaches the temperature that we want, which is about 160, 165 degrees. But if you cook it in the oil too long, it'll burn. So a lot of people will oven fry or oven cook the rest of the way just so it doesn't create any more darkness to it. So yeah, 135. Not enough. We're not getting sick today. Alright, now let's toss in some nugs. And I'm going to toss them in one at a time to kind of let the heat seal them off. You toss them in as a group, they'll end up staying as a group. But you want to get them in there right around the same time frame. Again, you don't want to mix cooked and uncooked and whatever. Plus they make a cool little sound when I throw them in there. These ones are probably going to cook for a far less amount of time because they're smaller and thinner. So we'll let them seal in for about a minute or two. We'll stir them about and see their color. Yeah, see, we're already getting that color that we want on them. So we're going to pull those out after, what is it, only been like a minute, right? I'm going to just cook the rest of the way in the oven. That way we don't overcook them and turn them too dark. Okay, so we're going to pop these in the oven for probably about 5-10 minutes. Just bring them in there enough to bring it up to 160, 165. Coming up next, we're going to wrap this whole thing up and we're going to spread some love. All right, so we brought them out of the oven. They temped out perfectly. They taste amazing. So what we're going to do is we've just plated them with some simple fried potatoes and a sauce that I made out of a barbecue / honey mustard. Kind of reminiscent of certain people's sauces, but it's kind of my own take on it. It's a garlic barbecue and it's a garlic honey mustard, so you know how we feel about garlic in this house. I'm just saying. Alright, so we got our nugs right here, looking great, tasting great. We're going to put together one of our sliders right here. And with all chicken sandwiches, it's just really, really simple. Not all, I should say. But this style of chicken sandwiches is a touch of mayo. You can use Miracle Whip. But it's your choice. Do what you want. Pickle. We got a nice crispy patty right there. Stack that right on top. Just like that. And that, my friends, is some chicken love that you can get behind. All encompassing. Doesn't segregate. Doesn't hate. It's chicken for the masses. It's delicious. And it serves no political agenda. And that's the way chicken should be. I want to thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Cooking Ain't Complicated. I want to thank all of my friends in the gay and lesbian community for standing up for yourself and taking back what should be yours from the beginning. Fight for your rights. Take pride. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next week. My God, get your nug on.